take this chance to apologize to absolutely nobody.
It's time!
It's Monday, December 21st, 2020. This is the Church of MMA podcast. My name is Tabor Cragen.
My name is Mason Knight. This is episode 52, Thompson versus Neal recap. And then after that, we jump into some MMA news. And unfortunately, this week, we have no preview show. But Tabor, where do we begin?
With our social media accounts, Mason, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, at the Church of MMA. Guys, if you are following us right now, make sure you go and do it. We are posting funny memes. We're trying to make you laugh. Clips of the show every single day. So make sure you go and follow.
Absolutely. And check out our YouTube channel too, guys. We are up to 382 subscribers this week. We gained almost 10. We want to thank each and every one of you. We could not do this without you guys, and we want to continue to grow. So please be sure to smash that like button. Comment below whether you agree with us or disagree. Give us your theories. Who do you think the fights are coming? You guys know what to do. So Tabor, where do we begin?
Well, I think we have to start with this MMA card. You know, it just happened. I think it's a very hyped card, and I can't wait. Wait.
Holy shit balls.
Wait. Santa?
Santa! Where is he? Oh
shit, I'm Santa.
You're Santa.
I just realized. No, quick little joke. It's Christmas, man.
It is Christmas. It's Christmas week. Man, are we excited? I do love Christmas. Okay, no, I'm lying. Holidays are holidays.
It's a big money spender every year.
It is. Isn't it? Every year, I'm just like, I don't have any money to begin with, and then when I go Christmas shopping, I'm like, oh, okay, now I'm actually in debt. Unfortunately for me, I have a huge family, and everyone. I wish my family. I love my family to death, but I wish we would just do a Secret Santa for one person. Because we literally have 7 people, not including all the girlfriends or fiancés. And it's like, you buy for 15, 20 people and you spend, anywhere from 20 to 40 bucks a piece. That adds up, man. And it's tough. I'd rather just do the Secret Santa. But
we do Secret Santa and buy everyone gifts. It's hell.
Oh my God. That sounds awful.
It's awful.
Yeah, no wonder.
Dude, I'm crying behind this mask.
I guarantee you are. Christmas spirit.
But for real, Roanoke update really quick. I'm back in studio. And I'm super proud.
You are back in studio. You were also back in studio Saturday night. We did a fight companion that'll be uploaded a little bit before this. We had our good friend Gideon DeMars on. He's got a YouTube channel, guys. Go check it out. It's called Arguing With Myself. You guys like NBA. He talks NBA. And I got to be honest with you, this guy knows everything under the sun when it comes to basketball. And he does this thing called Diary of a Browns Fan. And for the first, and like legit, he has been a real true blue Browns fan. I remember back in the day when they, didn't win a single game and he was just still a diehard fan. So it's nice to see that his team has a 10-win season so far. So shout out to Gideon DeMars. Thanks for being on that fight companion. Guys, go check it out. It was a lot of fun too. I may have gotten a little heated, at the hour and a half, 2 hour mark. But, the biggest thing for me is, Dana White dropped this video and it's something that we definitely have to talk about because he basically dropped a video blasting the media that were all of those media personalities were giving him a terrible time saying he is irresponsible for doing this during coronavirus. And Dana White came out and said, you know what? No one is responsible for you and your family other than yourself. So get it done, open your businesses. And that's kind of the message that I have too. It's like, you know what? The government's not going to do anything for us. Nothing. They're not going to do it. They're going to shut you down and they're going to decimate the middle class. That's exactly what they're doing. So follow Dana's suit, man, and just do it. Do it and open it up and take care of your family. That should be your number one priority. So, in some ways I do apologize. I got a little heated. I might have taken it out on LeBron James a little bit, That
was the best part. That made me laugh so hard when I went back and listened to it. Yeah. It was a fantastic podcast, in my opinion. Guys, don't be shocked if we're getting into things like this on Fight Companions.
No,
we're going to keep these episodes strictly non-political. We're just going to talk about MMA with these numbered episodes. But
with these ones,
the Fight Companions, everything's on.
Everything's on, and we just talk about life and what's going on in the country, and we talk about movies, we talk about jokes, like just comedians. We'll talk about anything on a Fight Companion. It is completely off limits, but go check it out. It's 3 hours, and it's not that boring 3 hours where there's no conversation. You listen to that whole thing. We are having conversations. We're talking about different topics. It's a lot of fun. And Gideon DeMars, too, knows how to just to have a conversation with us. We hang out. It's a fun time.
It was one of those that would make Eddie Bravo proud because we didn't even talk about fights half the time.
No, we didn't.
It was just completely like fights were getting finished. There was crazy finishes, and we just completely just didn't give a shit. We were just zoned in on the conversation the entire time.
Yeah, that's definitely how I was Saturday night, man. I had to go back and rewatch all these fights again, and I'm glad I'm glad I did, because there were some great fights here and some
let's
really
get into the recap.
Impressive performances. So with that said, let's jump into the main event here with Stephen Wonderboy Thompson versus Hands of Steel Jeff Neal. Are you kidding me? Or what? Stephen Wonderboy Thompson came out and dominated this fight exactly how you predicted, Tabor. I would just like to throw this one out to you real quick.
I predict these things.
Because you called it, Wonderboy, a unanimous decision. Man, this is exactly why Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, at 37 years old, is still a top contender in this welterweight division. You take nothing away from this man. And another impressive win, you got to give this guy a title shot. I mean, do you agree or disagree?
I mean, if it was against a Jorge Masvidal or someone of that caliber, or Colby Covington, I would be clamoring with that title shot right with you. But because it was against a Jeff Hands of Steel Neal, I think it's a little bit different.
Well, I said one more. I said one more to the title fight.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, one more. So, like, if he were to go out there, because didn't he call out Jorge Masvidal?
I believe so, yes.
Yeah. I think he did. So if he were to go out there and beat a Jorge Masvidal who just fought for the belt, I really believe Stephen Wonderboy Thompson should get another crack at the belt, man.
100%.
I know a lot of people hate on Stephen Wonderboy Thompson because those two Tyron Woodley fights back in the day, probably weren't the most entertaining fights in the world according to most MMA fans. But nonetheless, they were very technical fights. And you got to understand, Tyron Woodley was such a dominant champ back then that you had to be very technical. You could not make one mistake with Tyron Woodley because he would take your head off. That man had so much power, just raw power, and you could see it in his hands.
He was scary.
So in Wonderboy Thompson is a counter striker to begin with. So yeah, maybe to most MMA fans that wasn't those two fights weren't the best, but to me especially the second one was much more entertaining. So we'll see.
Yeah, I'm very excited for Stephen Wonderboy's future. I mean, unfortunately, he's kind of stuck in limbo right now. I don't see him fighting the top 5 guys. I mean, let's break down this welterweight division, really. I mean, you have Leon Edwards versus Hazmat Chimaev. I just called him Hazmat. Fuck, I do this every time.
Hamzat.
I know, I do that. I swear I do this every time. I really don't try to. It just comes out Hazmat every time, and people get so angry.
Oh, bro, honestly, there was a time on this podcast, because we had this one video, it had like 35,000 views, and there was like 300 comments just pissed at you, and I thought you were just trolling people, but you legitimately accidentally do this every time where you call him Hazmat, not Hamzat Chimaev.
Yeah, that's so funny.
But nonetheless, as you were saying, Hamzat.
No, well, I mean, you got Leon Edwards and Hamzat Chimaev. That fight is going to happen. We don't know when. I'm very excited for that fight. But, I mean, so many other fights have to happen in this welterweight division, too. I mean, you have Colby Covington versus Jorge Masvidal in the works, apparently. We don't know when. We were talking maybe early February, March, hopefully sooner than later. God. I mean, that's the fight to make, I feel like,
let's not skip over that one either.
Yes.
Jorge Masvidal versus Colby Covington. Dude, that's the fight I want to see. That's the fight I want to see, man.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, Jorge Masvidal is no joke. His stand-up is elite. It's top class in the welterweight division. But Colby Covington can put a pace on you like no else. I got to say, Jorge Masvidal didn't do as bad as I thought he did against Kamaru Usman. But, man, Colby Covington is a beast, man. And that pace that he puts on, I'm a little worried for Jorge as far as, like, is he going to be able to keep up for 5 rounds with that cardio? Because, dude, say what you will about Colby Covington, he's not easy to put away.
Oh, absolutely.
He's not.
Absolutely. And he'll just put a pace on you that just drains you.
Yep.
Absolutely drains you. I mean, we did see a little bit of a glimpse of that in that Kamaru Usman fight. I mean, so many talking points go into that fight alone just because, the 1 week's notice. Mm-hmm. And stuff like that. Was Jorge coming off the couch? He had the 15 or 20 pound weight cut in 5 days, which is very difficult for him. So, I mean, there's so many talking points coming out of that fight alone. But, I mean, honestly, Jorge's takedown defense looked pretty fucking good in that fight.
all things considering, it did. And as you had alluded to earlier, he did have
it's an interesting matchup, I think, with the Colby Covington.
Absolutely. With a full training camp, I mean, you never know. But let's not take anything away from Kamaru Usman either. I mean, Jorge Masvidal technically didn't have a full camp, and that's very true. But at the same time, we knew he was training because there were kind of like rumors.
Well, they wanted to make that fight in the first place before they made the Burns fight. And,
exactly. And then the COVID-19 happened, and then Burns couldn't fight, so they ended up throwing in Jorge. But I mean, Jorge Masvidal is a gangster, man. I love him. I love the fact that he took that fight on 1 week's notice. Even if he was training, he wasn't necessarily training for Kamaru Usman at that time. So the fact that he even took that fight was awesome.
Yeah, I guess to go back to Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, to make this full. No, it was perfect. This is relevant because, I mean, I think he has to wait. Unfortunately, I mean, who does he fight? There's no one for him to fight right now. He has to wait for some of these key matchups to play out, I think. And he's totally cool with that. He's 37 years old, and I mean, he's one of these guys. He hasn't fought in over a year already. Yeah, so he could be taking some time off.
Was last December, and then he fought this weekend. But he's one of those guys that just, as you said, he's 37. Obviously, when you get to that age, you're at the tail end of your career. I'm not saying that like he should retire or anything like that. Obviously, we just saw him dominate for 5 rounds against the hands of steel Jeff Neal, who is no joke, who has put people on Queer Street, dude, just knocking them out, just like, oh my God, they're asleep. So like again, Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, an elite fighter, but you are absolutely right. We have this Kamaru Usman, champ versus number 2 Gilbert Burns, and then we're going to get hopefully that Colby Covington fight versus Jorge Masvidal. That's 1 and 4, and then Leon Edwards, is fighting Hamza. That's kind of crazy.
I can't wait for that. Cannot wait.
So again, you are 100% right, and I'm just going to make a little joke here. All right, because this is not serious, and they would never do this. But I mean, Stephen Wonderboy Thompson is 5. Guess who's number 6? Tyron Woodley.
Oh.
You do the trilogy fight. No, I'm just joking.
If they did, I would literally, I don't know, I'd have to do something drastic. I'd be like, what the fuck?
You know who I'd like to see Stephen Wonderboy Thompson fight? Either 1 of 2 fighters, just off the top of my head. Either Michael Chiesa, which Chiesa might have a fight, or Neal Magny.
Absolutely, I 100% agree. And we were talking about that fight on the Fight Companion.
I like both of those.
Yeah. That's a perfect matchup, I think, for either one of those men. I mean, I love that trio right there. Or you could even match those two up against each other. Michael Chiesa has been calling out Neal Magny for a very long time. Yep. It's probably not the fight they make. Neal Magny wants a big fight. He wanted that Hamzat fight.
Which, you know what, dude? I have so much respect for Neal Magny. He's won 3 straight. He called out Hamzat Chimaev for literally not just a day or 2. We're talking weeks and months.
Yeah.
He didn't get that fight. But you know what? He had the balls enough. No one else wanted Hamzat at that moment in time. Not a single fighter on the UFC roster in the welterweight division or really in the middleweight division after he starched Mershart. No one wanted him.
Yeah.
But Neal Magny's out there on Twitter. You guys go through his receipts, man. He was calling out Hamzat Chimaev. So we got to give Neal Magny a big fight, man. He's won 3 straight. He's on this resurgence in his career. He has looked absolutely phenomenal. Yeah. We got to get this guy a top contender fight. Do you agree with that or
100%. 100%. It's just like I said earlier. I mean, you can throw him in the same boat as Steve Wonderboy Thompson. It's just the top is completely booked, I feel.
It is.
It's just we have to wait and see how this plays out, unfortunately, in 2021.
And I do kind of feel bad for Stephen Wonderboy Thompson because you know what? Like he has beat some top 10 guys a few times. Like Vicente Luque was his last fight. At the time, I think Vicente Luque was like 7 or 8. He has since dropped down to I believe 10. But and then you take on a guy Jeff Neal, hands of steel. No one wanted that guy either.
I mean, remember, everyone avoided that man.
Everyone avoided hands of steel, man. Everyone did. And Stephen Wonderboy Thompson took that fight, dominated for 5 rounds. Like this guy also, Stephen Wonderboy Thompson also deserves a title shot. This welterweight division, man, say what you will, it is stacked.
It's ridiculous.
I really think this is in second place for the lightweight division, as stacked as the lightweight division is. Welterweight division and featherweight division are so stacked, man.
I think 135 too, dude. 135
well, with TJ Dillashaw coming back, it is pretty stacked.
Yeah, I feel like every division right now is just so well developed. It's just, I can't wait for 2021.
It's just UFC, man. You know who it is? It's Dana White being a G, being a gangster. telling everyone else to piss off. He has built this business into something really, truly amazing. Dana White is the man. I don't care what anyone has to say about him anymore. You know, I listen to some podcasts who just hate Dana White, you know, like a Schaub. And I like Brendan Schaub for the most part, but, you know, he hates on him. Luke Thomas hates on him. And I'm like, guys, what are you talking about? He's one of the most savvy businessmen I've ever seen in my life. You try to take a guy, any of these like NFL commissioner, NBA commissioners, and try to build an organization the way Dana White has in just a mere 25 years. It is astonishing what Dana White has been able to do.
Just this year alone.
Yeah. And no human being is perfect, and I'm sure he's screwed up once or twice before. But dude, he's incredible.
Yeah, really.
He is, man.
Yeah. So, I mean, this is the last time we get to talk about points for the rest of the year.
It is.
Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, I took him UD. He came through. He won all 5 rounds, so I will take those 3 points.
Yeah, you will. Yep, absolutely. I already gave you the I predict these things, so I'm not doing it again, you son of a bitch.
I wasn't asking for it, but it would have been appreciated. No, I'm just joking.
Hey, let's talk about this co-main event, though. Hey, Jose Aldo is not done, folks.
I was nervous for him. Because I was really thinking this was going to be a completely different fight.
So did I.
We saw. I mean, we kind of saw that fight in the second round. So Jose won the first, pretty obviously. Mm-hmm. Okay, and then Marlon really turned it up in the second and really scored that round. But the way Jose took his back in the third, it just solidified it. I mean, if you're getting a man like that with the jiu-jitsu caliber of Jose Aldo, and I'm just shocked that Cheeto didn't get choked out.
Yeah.
So really big ups on his jiu-jitsu because that is so dangerous to have that man on your back for so long and not get submitted. So impressive in itself. But Jose's back. You know, I was shitting on him because he was really struggling at 135 pounds. He did lose that Marlon Moraes fight. Everyone thought he won. He did win, but I mean, at the same time, he lost, and then he went and lost to Jan. So if he would have lost to Cheeto, I mean, I would have kind of said his 135 days might be done. Cheeto is on the outskirts of this top 15, so I'm very happy that Jose really cemented himself in this division because I really think a win over Cheeto Vera did that.
Yeah. And you know what? Like Cheeto Vera, I love the hype that he is. And we got to keep in mind, too, Cheeto Vera is a very young fighter in this division. He's only 28 years old. He has so much room and improvement to grow.
And he looked good.
He looked good. Yeah, it wasn't like he was getting starched or he didn't deserve to be in that octagon with Jose Aldo. But, you know, there are levels to this game, and Jose just had the better night, man. Yeah. And, like, again, people can count out Jose and say, oh, he's done, he's past his prime, whatever. No, he's not. He's a top contender in this bantamweight division. I mean, number 7 right now, just beat number 15. And I've got 2 names for you, Tabor, that I would absolutely love to see Jose Aldo fight. You want to hear them?
Yes.
I would love to see either, and I'm sure it's happened before, either Frankie Edgar or Pedro Munoz. Think about a Pedro Munoz, Jose Aldo.
That's a great fight.
That's just a boxing match. That's all that is, bro. Yep. I mean, you might as well just, eliminate the ground game because those two are just going to stand and bang for 3 rounds.
Pretty sure he fought Frankie twice.
Yeah, he's fought him a couple times. But
yeah, so I mean, I'm not interested in that matchup at 135, but Pedro Munoz absolutely gets my blood boiling.
Yeah.
Or, I mean, where's Marlon going to end in this? I mean, he can't be number 3. He lost to Rob Font at number 11. So
again, I don't want to see Jose Aldo after such an impressive performance against Cheeto Vera because, as you said, that second round was looking Cheeto. And then Jose Aldo comes out in the third and he shows so much heart out there in the octagon. Like, that's one thing with Jose Aldo. Say what you will, he may blow his gas tank in round 4 and 5 when he's in championship fights, but the man never gives up. You never see that.
Here's the name, and he's already matched up, and I'm just going to say it right now. It's almost a disrespectful matchup. They should have done this. Jose Aldo, Dominic Cruz. I mean, they're doing Dominic Cruz and Casey Kenny, unranked guy.
Yeah, I don't get that.
That's the fight to make, dude. I mean, two WEC legends. I mean, it's a legends fight.
Yeah.
Are you going to argue against that? I don't think anyone's going to argue against that. I think that's the perfect matchup to make. Dominic Cruz and Jose Aldo. That's the name that really screams out to me. I like Pedro Munoz as well. Maybe even a Cody Garbrandt. We'll see. Cody Garbrandt is still talking 125. Like, dude, what the fuck? Like, let's just relax.
Cody's been just calling out basically everyone.
Yeah, he wants to fight Sugar Sean O'Malley.
Well, you know what? At this point, I'd love to see that. I'd love to see that.
Wouldn't mind it.
I want to see who's going to win that fight. That's the fight I really want to see. I want to see Sugar Sean fight Cody Garbrandt.
That'd be crazy. It
really would be. It'd be a great fight.
Yeah, it would be awesome. So, I'm very excited for Jose Aldo. I mean, he's going to have another great year. I don't see the UFC doing anything with him big, maybe in 2021. But if he comes out and gets another 2 or 3 fights, another 2 or 3 big wins, he's right back in the mix at 135 pounds. We're getting a freaking TJ Dillashaw back in the next couple months. We're getting an Aljamain Sterling versus Petr Yan here soon.
Yeah, we are.
They're going to need number 1 contenders. We're going to need these big fights. I mean, the future is just looking so good in every one of these divisions. I'm telling you, 135 is a division everyone needs an asterisk. I do think it's one of the more stacked ones.
It is a stacked division, unquestionably. But, yeah.
Yeah, it's hard. Let's just move on to this next fight. Let's go to Michel Pereira versus Chaos Williams. Oh, my goodness. I mean, there wasn't a flashy knockout. It's what everyone wanted. It's what everyone kind of expected in this fight. But the fight we did get was still very entertaining, in my opinion. Michel Pereira is just fucking scary. Absolutely scary, dude. And so is Chaos Williams. And he really tested Michel's chin multiple times, I feel like. He was getting blasted there for a while.
Well, dude, in the evolution of Michel Pereira, I mean, goddamn, dude. Like, this guy has shown so much improvement. I mean, we got to look back in his career in the earlier days that he was in the UFC. He was a wild man that needed to be honed in. They needed to hone in his skills because he had so much athleticism. Like, watching his early fights, he just couldn't get the job done in certain fights just because he was too much of a wide man. He was expending his energy in ways that he did not need to do, doing unnecessary backflips on his opponents, where he would gas himself out. Now, and I feel like it, in a lot of ways, it's kind of like the Justin Gaethje situation. You remember, now, Justin Gaethje was not doing backflips on people, okay?
No, I get what you're
Justin was a wild man. He was just going for it. He was going for the knockout. He was either going to knock you out or you were going to knock him out, right? Which I respect. But there comes a time in someone's career when you get to this elite echelon of competitors where you have to do more than just be the wild man. I think Michel Pereira is figuring that out because a guy like Chaos Williams coming off that huge knockout against
Abdulrazak
Al-Hassan. Like, it was beautiful. It was amazing. And then Michel Pereira just goes out there and puts on a great performance. And he took some heavy shots from Chaos Williams.
Heavy shots,
some
dude.
heavy shots. And he was able to withstand that and win on the judges' scorecards. Man, I am really excited about both these fighters. I got to be honest.
Yeah.
Chaos Williams, dude, young career. He's only 11-2 right now. Super young in this division. But Michel Pereira, I don't know how this man cuts to 170.
It's insane.
I mean, we talked about it on the Fight Companion. You look at this guy, he is huge. He is ginormous. I don't understand it. It defies physics and logic to me. But he looks great at welterweight. So, hats off to Michel Pereira. I am so excited. And do we give him a top 15?
I think so. Why not? I want to test the waters. But, I mean, at the same time, number 15 is fucking Khamzat Chimaev. I mean, do you want to see Khamzat Chimaev versus Michel Pereira? Yes, I do. I really want to see that.
Yeah.
But we all know it's Leon Edwards next for him. So, I mean, it just really depends. I mean, who's sticking out for you? I mean, maybe Robbie Lawler, but I really don't want to put Robbie Lawler for that.
No, dude, I don't want to see that anymore. I think Robbie Lawler, at this point in his career, I would like to just see him take on legend fights, if I'm being honest. Like, we've seen Robbie lose a couple times now, and sometimes in a row. Bilal Muhammad, remember the name Muhammad, is 13. He just had to pull out of a fight. I think it was actually on this card.
Yeah.
He had to pull out of that one. So that's probably not happening. You got number 12, Anthony Pettis. But Pettis, after his fight, just said he wants to go down to lightweight and fight for the belt.
I don't think
eventually.
He should do that, but
no,
I mean, if you want, I'm going to support him either way. But I mean, I think he should stick at 170, not cut so much weight. I think it's way better for his health. Yeah.
And then he got Jeff Neal at number 11. So it's like,
who's screaming out to me, honestly, but I know it's just going to feed him up another one? Neal Magny. I think that's a great matchup, but it might be the roughest matchup you can make for a Michel Pereira.
Yeah, I think that's a little too soon. I think that's a
lot.
little too. That's number 8 in the world right there. I think the highest I would go is a Vicente Luque. That would be the highest I'd go. At number 10.
That's an interesting matchup
it's
too,
a
because
very
Vicente
interesting
is
matchup.
so technical with his striking.
He is.
Ooh, that's
He's
a
very technical with his
matchup.
striking, but again, there are levels to this game. And last year, when he fought Stephen Wonderboy Thompson,
he hit that
I
level.
mean, damn, he hit a brick shithouse wall that he was not able to penetrate in any sense. So again, I think Michel Pereira would be a great task or a great opponent for a guy like Vicente Luque to see really where he stands. And Michel Pereira is a great striker. He's unorthodox. He's super athletic.
And
he has these crazy strikes.
Dynamic and can knock you out at any moment. He's
So
crazy knockout power.
Yeah, so I think that's where the matchup lies, man. I'd like to see him fight Vicente Luque at number 10. I think Michel Pereira deserves a top 15 guy.
Yeah,
I do.
Absolutely. I like that name. I really like all the names we said. So whatever happens with Michelle, big ups for him. Super excited for him.
As far as Chaos Williams, I don't take much away from this fight. I mean, I don't think Chaos Williams looked bad. He won one round on all the judges' scorecards. It wasn't like he got dominated or starched in any sense. And I'm so excited about Chaos, man, because this guy has just got lead in his hands. And if he lands right, you're going to sleep, man, and it's fun. And he looked good in this fight too, but Michel Pereira just got the better of him, so it is what it is, right?
Absolutely.
As Max Holloway says, we gotta clip.
That's a great
It is
clip.
what it is.
It
man.
really is, because he says that so fucking much. Okay, let's talk about this next fight. It's a shocker to me. This shocked me. I mean, I have to give so much respect to this man. Rob Font versus Marlon Moraes. The way you get that finish, my guy, absolutely incredible.
Wow.
Absolutely incredible. Yeah. I mean, dude, we were talking about this on the Fight Companion. Was this too much too soon for Marlon Moraes? He just possibly had his orbital bow broken. He didn't say it was broken, and he did take this fight just being finished pretty viciously by Corey Sandhagen just a couple months ago. Was this too much too soon?
That is debatable. I will give you that as far as Marlon Moraes coming back too soon, man. But again, like, he was an elite contender in this division, and but. I don't want to talk too much on Marlon Moraes because I really want to focus here on Rob Font. Rob Font, like, we gotta keep in mind, Ricky Simone was on track to be a real contender in this bantamweight division, if you remember. And Rob Font went out there and put on one of the most impressive performances, and it blew my mind. I could not believe how well he looked against Ricky Simone, and then to go out there and do what he did against Marlon Moraes and KO this man in the first round. His combinations look clean, just clear and crisp, dude.
Yeah.
Like, and he got so emotional in the post fight, and I loved it, man. I can see, like, here's the thing. Like, these fighters are the most manly alpha males on face of the earth. Like, if I were to be in the presence of one of these guys, like, they would just ooze alpha over me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But, like, with Rob Font, he got real emotional. He goes, there are so many times in my career where I had that opportunity and I failed. And he goes, you guys have no idea how it feels to me. And I'm paraphrasing here. He goes, to be able to get that opportunity and succeed in it. He goes, I feel on top of the world. And he was like holding back tears, man. Like, I love seeing that. I love seeing the passion of these fighters, because this is their livelihood. This is everything they've ever wanted. And I'm on this Rob Font hype train right now, man. I could just see it in that post-fight, how much this fight meant to him. And to beat a guy like Marlon Moraes, man, that is no joke. That is number 3 in the world.
Yes.
I mean, Marlon Moraes has had some of the most impressive knockouts in bantamweight history. He fought for a title. And for Rob Font to go out there and essentially starch Marlon Moraes, and don't get me wrong, Marlon looked good in that first round. But Rob Font was just crisp, man. He just looked...
Well, Marlon took his back, remember?
Well, he took his back
looked like
and
he was going to
everything,
submit him multiple times, and for him to get off and then just to fucking pour it on instantly. It was a beautiful thing to watch.
It really was, man. So, I am on this Rob Font hype train right now. And when you beat the number 3 in the world, Tabor, I mean, where do you see Rob Font going next after beating number 3 in the world in this bantamweight division?
I mean, we just kind of talked about this division, but I mean, there's so many fucking names, dude. There's just so many names. I like a Jose Aldo fight, actually. I'm surprised we didn't bring that up earlier.
Ooh.
I actually like that Jose Aldo fight. Maybe a Cody Garbrandt. Marlon Moraes is a big, big deal.
It's a huge deal.
Unfortunately for Rob Font, he has to wait a little bit. I mean, just like we said with Steve Wonderboy, there's big fights to play out at the top of this division, and he's probably in one of them.
But, man, I like that, though. And I don't know why we didn't. I mean, now we're talking about it. But I like that fight a lot. Jose Aldo coming off a win on the exact same card as Rob Font. Let's get that fight going. Jose Aldo, if he beats a guy like Rob Font, who just beat number 3 in the world, he's got a real clear-cut, concise path to gold once more. But Rob Font beats a guy like Jose Aldo coming off a win, number 7 in the world.
He's going to be clamoring for at least a number 1 contender fight.
Come on, dude. I love that, Tabor. I love that matchup. That's perfect. Perfect matchup. Let's do Font versus Jose Aldo. Absolutely.
And
Totally
then
agree with that.
and then you could do a Frankie Edgar versus, a Cody Garbrandt. Something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many fucking matchups you can make. TJ Dillashaw is going to need a fight.
Yeah, he will.
I mean, he's coming back real soon. We haven't talked about him. We'll get more into that in MMA news, but he's going to need a fight. So, I mean, there's so many fucking fights. Merab wanted a fight. He didn't, unfortunately, get one. He wanted that one more fight in the year.
Bro, Merab is going to be a future champ.
I think so as well.
Mark my words. He will be a future champ. Now, it may be 2-3 years down the road, but Merab is a savage. He is an energizer bunny. He will take you down. You get back up. He takes you down. You get back up. He takes you down. It is exhausting to watch. I want to puke just watching it. I'm like, oh my God, there's no way I could do this. And most fighters can't keep up with his pace, man.
Yeah, Merab deserves a big fight. He deserves a big fight. I'm talking Cody Garbrandt. I'm talking Jose Aldo.
Well, that's the thing, though. Think about it. No one wants to fight Merab. No one. Because they understand what is at stake. What is at task.
Absolutely.
I mean, this man does not quit. There's no quit in Merab.
There's no looking good against him.
Oh,
it's so difficult unless you KO him. I feel like that's your only path to victory against Merab. Very dangerous fighter. I can't wait for the rest of that division. Let's finish this card off. We have 2 more fights to talk about. Marcin Tarboro versus Greg Hardy. I did not go back and watch this fight. This was a fight we did not watch during the Fight Companion at all. I did see Tarboro got on top and just started raining down some heavy fucking crazy shots. Is that essentially how the end of the fight went down? Yeah.
It was a second round, and Tarboro just looked a little bit more sharp in this fight. And again, I mean, Greg Hardy,
he hits hard. He was cracking him early.
I feel like we always have to paraphrase and be like, "Oh, Greg Hardy, what he did," But outside of that, I'm just talking strict MMA. He does have some growth. He needs some growth in the heavyweight division. He's only been a mixed martial artist for 4 or 5 years at most,
something like that. Yeah.
So I mean, Tarboro's been around a long time. Yeah, I think he's been in the UFC for 5 or 6 years already. It was just he got a little outclassed there, but Tarboro looked great, and I think it's a good trajectory for his career as well, beating a big name like Greg Hardy. So, but no, Tarboro looked great. He looked like the sharper fighter, and he got the job done in the second round pretty decisively with that ground and pound, so.
Yeah, it looked pretty vicious
It did.
at the time. So let's talk about this. Anthony Pettis versus Alex Moreno. This is a fight we watched before we started our Fight Companion, so we did get to see it. And I had the worst timing in the world because I was just sitting there watching this fight this whole time going, I think it might be time for Pettis to go to Bellator. And then he throws that fucking spinning back kick and almost KO'd him. I was like, fuck, now I look like an idiot. And I did. And I felt like one for the rest of the night. But it's okay. Sometimes it happens. Pettis is just one of these guys where I feel like, I feel like he should not have taken that much damage against an Alex Moreno. I got to talk. Alex Moreno is tough. To walk through some of those shots he got hit with, he's just absolutely a tough human being. But for Anthony Pettis, I feel like his striking should be another level above this man. And for him to take that much damage against this man, it's not looking good for me.
Yeah, I got to be honest. I just thought it took him a little longer to get warmed up. We didn't see the real true Anthony Pettis until round 3.
Yeah.
And then when he was like, oh, it's 1-1 right now, he goes, I got to finish this fight. In round 3, I thought Anthony Pettis looked
pretty
like
good.
The old Anthony Pettis.
Yeah.
But it took him a while to warm up for whatever reason. And now let's talk about this a little bit because, obviously Tony Ferguson came out and was saying, I just was not at the level with no fans, with no energy. And I wonder if that affects Anthony Pettis the same way it does Tony Ferguson, as far as getting warmed up. Normally you get the crowd there and you're all pumped up and amped up, but maybe Anthony Pettis' just energy wasn't quite there. Because you got to keep in mind, Tabor, you and I will never understand. We have never been face to face in an octagon with an opponent, so we don't know what that energy, that level needs to be at. So maybe that was just a thing for Anthony Pettis, but nonetheless, he still got that job done. I thought he looked really good in that third round. That spinning heel kick, as you said, looked beautiful, landed it perfect, had Moreno freaking wobbling,
dude.
I thought for a second Anthony Pettis might finish it, but a testament to Alex Moreno's just just tenacity, man, to stay in that fight and at least have this go to the judges.
Yeah, he made it competitive.
He absolutely did. For sure, unquestionably. But Anthony Pettis, let's talk about the post-fight. I thought that was a little strange. He wants to drop back down to lightweight.
I'm so glad you brought this up.
And fight, for the belt eventually. I'm not saying right away, obviously, he knows that. But he wants to get on a pathway to gold one more time in his career. What are your thoughts on this, David?
I don't think it's the best idea ever, just because I think that the lightweight division is more of a killer's den than the welterweight division. I think he could have more success at welterweight. I don't think he needs to completely drain himself to get down to 155, because that's what most of these 155ers are doing. Let's be real.
Yeah.
They're draining themselves to make weight, and it really impacts their performances. And I think Anthony Pettis is one of those. I didn't like that Diego Ferreira fight in January.
Yeah.
I didn't like that Anthony Pettis. If that was the Anthony Pettis that is going to show up at these 155 fights, it's not going to look good for him, especially against some of these unranked guys. He's going to have to work his way back up. Unfortunately, a win over Cowboy and a win over Alex Moreno at 170 doesn't do shit for 155 in the rankings there. So he's going to have to work his way up through unranked killer's den. Dude, I'm talking, there's guys like Rafael Fiziev. I don't like that matchup.
Yeah.
You put Rafael Fiziev against Anthony Pettis right now, Pettis might get KO'd viciously.
Very well could.
I mean, there are savages at 155 that are completely unranked, that are unknown guys that we will be talking about in the future. So I just don't know if it's the best move ever for Anthony Pettis to go down 155. But if he wants to do it, do it. Yeah. I'm not going to tell him not to. It's just I don't really understand the decision from a fan's perspective.
Yeah, I kind of had the same thoughts here. You get two good wins in the welterweight division. The welterweight division in the top, I would say top, 10 is really, really stacked. And Anthony Pettis right now is number 12.
Yeah.
And then winning this fight this week against Moreno. I don't understand why you wouldn't want to stay in this division, but he wants to go to lightweight. But here's the thing. I mean, you're looking at 15, 14, 13. You got 15 Drew Dober. You got Gregor Gillespie at number 14. And then you have Islam Makhachev at number 13. So it's where do you, as Anthony Pettis, where do you think you fit in this lightweight division?
Yeah, and I'm not going to say he can't compete with those guys, because he very well could.
Yeah, he could.
And he has the skill set. It's just whether or not that's going to translate now. I think I don't want to say he's past his prime, because he's not the oldest guy ever. Mm-hmm. He should be right in the middle of his prime, but I think maybe he fought a little too much too soon, because I do think the decline has come with Anthony Pettis, unfortunately. And I hate to say that about the guy, because I'm a big fan, but it's what I see, unfortunately. And I don't know if he could compete with the upper echelon of this lightweight division, so I would rather him stick at 170.
Yeah.
All right. I think it's MMA news time, Mason.
All right.
Let's do it. So I was actually nervous about MMA news this week. I didn't think we'd have a whole lot to talk about. And then I was like, oh, duh. I can't believe I forgot about this. It's the biggest fucking news of the week. And I just almost didn't put it in. It's kind of, it's stupid, but we got to talk about it.
Oh, of course.
So Jake Paul is out there, getting his name out there, going viral, throwing toilet paper at Dylan Dennis, completely attacking and assaulting the man on the streets. And then he leaves. Drive-by shooting. I think the police need to investigate this.
Absolutely. No, here's the thing with Jake Paul. We talked about this a little bit on the Fight Companion, but I think Jake Paul, say what you will, whether you love or hate this kid, same with Logan Paul, what they are smart on is they know how to market fights. They know how to market themselves, and they know how to get eyeballs on the product. They're geniuses, in my opinion, okay? Absolute geniuses. And Jake Paul's one of those guys where he doesn't care if he's a villain. And he's kind of trolling Dylan Dennis, because Dylan Dennis has always been known as that guy who talks shit, as that guy who's just over the top, who always just calling everyone out. And you're like, oh, Dylan Dennis.
He out Dylan Dennis.
He out Dylan Dennis. Exactly. Yeah. He out Dylan Dennis,
Yeah.
But Jake Paul is so incredibly smart. As we talked about on the Fight Companion, Jake Paul goes out there, he drops this video, this 1.5-minute video, where he's calling out Conor McGregor out of his Lambo, fronting $50 million with these big billionaire, bank investments. And I watched the TMZ video. He showed the email. He actually had that money. It wasn't just for show. But, he's calling out Conor McGregor, calling his wife a whore, and then saying she's the only girl on Instagram that he follows. It's true. He says, Conor McGregor, I don't know why you're fighting Dustin Pogo or whatever he called him. And then he says, yo, my dog's got more Instagram followers than Dustin Poirier, which is a fact. You know, this guy knows how to troll.
He's the ultimate
smart,
troll.
but
I love it.
He definitely knew he was not getting that Conor McGregor fight. But who is Conor McGregor's boy, right? Mm-hmm. One of his boys is Dylan Dennis. And who does Jake Paul want to fight? And then Brendan Schaub with the Food Truck Diaries, man. And he's on, Dylan Dennis is on Brendan Schaub, and then Jake Paul and his crew roll up and start throwing water balloons at Dylan Dennis, and they drive off. This kid knows how to market. This is the fight Jake Paul actually wanted. Jake Paul's playing 4D chess here. What do? You call out the most successful fighter to ever live within the UFC community, right? And then you call him out knowing you're not going to get the fight, and then you fight one of his henchmen. Right?
One of his boys. One of his boys that is prevalent in the MMA community,
it's
prevalent in the jiu-jitsu community, prevalent in this boxing bullshit.
Yep.
He's the biggest troll there was besides Jake Paul. Jake Paul is now the biggest troll in this community. Crazy how the tables can turn sometimes.
It really is, man.
That's the fight to make, dude. They need to make that fight. Jake Paul versus Dylan Dennis. Put that as co-main for this Floyd and fucking Logan Paul fight. I'm going to watch it, dude.
My God.
I'm going to pay $80 or whatever it is because I'm too fucking lazy to buy it early.
I got to be honest with you, too. Like, Jake Paul, Dylan Dennis, I'd almost, and this is crazy, I can't believe I'm saying this publicly because I am going to get shamed for this, but I would almost like to see Jake Paul win that fight, if I'm being honest. Because Dylan Dennis is one of those guys for me where I'm just like, and don't get me wrong, like Dylan Dennis comes in my face, he breaks my arm, he breaks my legs, he puts me in a hospital, he kills me, all right? I'm not saying that. I'm not trying to call out Dylan Dennis. But what I'm saying is like, dude, well, good luck with that. Dylan. Good luck with that. I'm good. But, dude, he's just such a massive troll, and he just irritates the living fuck out of me. And I think Jake Paul, like, yeah, dude, the whole looting and rioting shit, and Jake Paul can irritate the living fuck out of me. I like his brother much more than I like Jake Paul. But I think he's kind of funny sometimes, if I'm being honest.
This was funny. This had me cracking up. I'm like, some people are like, oh, how dare he ruin his photo shoot. Yeah, it almost looks kind of fake. Like, I wouldn't be shocked if there's like, hey, Dylan, I'm going to come over, and we're going to fucking blow up. Yeah. We're going to make $1 million.
And Brendan Schaub's like, yeah, that's cool, man.
Brendan's like, yes, I want this fucking YouTube money. He's like, I don't have to use Joe for once. Give me my fucking shit. Yeah, I'd love it. Yeah. I love it. Like, I want more. I want these guys to fucking meet up in a room. I want them to fist fight for real. I want to watch it. It's got my fucking attention. And I'm going to pay money if this is actually a fight.
If the main event's Floyd Money Mayweather versus Logan Paul and then Jake Paul and Dylan Dennis.
I'm watching that shit.
Bro, I will pay $80.
For that.
We will fight companion that just like we always do.
Yeah.
And we will pay $80-$100 for that fight, man, because that's just fun. Yeah. You know, that is something, a lot of people shit on this in the MMA community and the boxing community, as far as these, celebrities, like Nate Robinson, being a basketball player, or like these professional YouTubers who go out there and fight. But man, I love it. And it just brings more eyeballs to the sport. Like, obviously, we're not sitting here saying that Jake Paul can go out and take on Conor McGregor or like Logan Paul is going to beat Floyd Money Mayweather. We all know the case. We all know who's going to win the fight. But again, it brings eyeballs to the sport, and it makes people interested, and it's fun. It's a spectacle. We're not supposed to take this seriously. It's not like they're fighting for a belt. It's not like it's a real competition, right? I like this kind of stuff. I got to be honest with you. Like, I really enjoy these celebrity boxing matches, and I would like to see more of them. Now, I'm not saying every single week or every single month, but these spectacles like this, I really do like. I like them a lot, man, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, I'll pay money.
I'll pay money because you know what, dude? Say what you will about Jake Paul. He looked great against Nate Robinson. And obviously it was Nate's first fight.
And he walked straight into every one of those punches.
Yeah, he did, in all fairness. But even then, you could see the technique in Jake Paul. He was working, bro. Like, he would just step back and land. Like, that right hand. I'm southpaw, but he would step back and just land. And, like, you could see the technical aspects of Jake Paul. He looked really good in that fight. I'll give him that. But I'm really curious to see how he'd look at it against a guy like Dylan Dennis, man. I think
probably good, dude. Probably good because I don't think Dylan Dennis can strike. Like, there was talks about Dylan Dennis versus Ben Askren in a boxing match. Like that's the level of striking we're talking about with Dylan Dennis. He did not look good in any of his MMA fights on the feet. It has to go straight down to the ground for him to be successful, and that he's so good on the ground that he does find success in MMA fights because of this. I don't know how this would go really in a boxing ring. It'd be very interesting, in my opinion. Jake Paul might viciously KO him.
Did you see Chael Sonnen? Chael Sonnen never cusses in his videos or anything on YouTube, and he was pissed. He called Jake Paul a little bitch. And he said, if anyone else takes that fight between Dylan Dennis and Jake Paul, you're a slimy son of a bitch, essentially. Like, Chael was actually upset about it. I'm like, Chael, you got to
What's he upset about? So he's going to fight someone else after calling out Dennis?
No. He was just upset that Jake Paul rolled up on Dylan Dennis during the interview and threw water balloons at him. I'm like, come on, Chael. We know Chael Sonnen's a big...
Chael's just using that viral video.
Yeah, because, I mean, dude, Chael, let's remember you, bro. Anderson Silva calling out all of Brazil, which I fucking loved. I tuned in. I thought Chael Sonnen is one of my favorite fighters of all time. Like, I'm dead serious. Like, Chael Sonnen is one of my favorite fighters of all time. He hits he's on my Mount Rushmore. I think Chael was hilarious. I love those Anderson Silva fights. You know, it was crazy. Silva pulled off that triangle in the 5th round after Chael Sonnen dominated for 4.5 rounds. Second fight wasn't as entertaining. But, man, it was really weird to see how, like, emotional Chael Sonnen was when it's like, bro, you were the WWE guy back then. And I don't mean that in a disrespectful light. I mean that in the way of, like, we had never seen promotion the way Chael Sonnen did it. He was the heel. He was the bad guy. But he did it so effectively, you know? And that's what Jake Paul's doing. It's just a new era of being a quote-unquote troll or being the heel of the sport. Like, I was very shocked to see that. But maybe Chael's just trying to sell the fight, too. I don't know.
Possibly.
Yeah.
Possibly. Yeah, I mean, so Bisping went on his podcast and said that his manager has been getting hit up by the Pauls.
Bro.
So if maybe this Dylan Dennis fight doesn't happen, dude, Bisping versus Jake Paul.
Jake Paul, do not take that. I mean, take that fight. Take that fight.
Take that fight, brother.
Bisping will put you to sleep, my guy.
I would love to see it.
He will murder you in the ring, and they might arrest him afterwards for manslaughter.
He went on his podcast and essentially just said, there's no fucking way if this actually happens, I'm not taking it. He goes, I'm taking the millions of dollars, easy payday. He goes, they better just fucking pass me for my eye.
And I get that. And like I think Bisping would absolutely dominate that fight. You know, like obviously, like
boxing
come on,
match.
duh, like over it. But man, it does make me a little concerned. Like I love Bisping. I love the career that he's had. You know, I used to hate him back in the day. Like, I remember watching The Ultimate Fighter.
I used to hate him so much. Yeah. He was the biggest piece of shit
He was the
ever.
biggest heel, man. I used to hate Bisping.
When Dan Henderson KO'd him.
UFC 100.
It was beautiful.
Like, yeah, fuck you.
It was beautiful.
But then, like, after that, I don't know, for whatever reason, like, Bisping became one of my favorite fighters. And I'm like, dude, I love this guy. Because he's so authentically Bisping.
Yeah.
Like, he doesn't give a fuck. He'll talk shit. Like, I guarantee if you or I met Bisping, he'd be like, fuck you, fat fucks. Go fuck yourself. I hope you all die. But, like, that's who Bisping is, right? Like, he's just funny as shit. Like, so like, but it does concern me a little bit because it's like I don't want to see Bisping go blind. Like I don't.
Yeah, that is
and
true.
I get it. It's
and that's
boxing.
why he retired the first time,
right?
Because he said he went on a flight from LA to New York City, and the fucking movie on the flight was about a boxer who went completely blind. Yeah. He said he broke down in tears and shit. He said this isn't happening for me, and that's when he retired right off. He tweeted about it the second he got off.
And like straight up, dude, like I love Bisping. I want him to have a happy life because like if anyone deserves it, it's Bisping. Like when you hear his story and the way he came up, like Bisping's just a good dude, and I don't want to see him go blind. Now, do I think Jake Paul could blind him? No, I don't even think he'd probably even land on Bisping. I think it'd be like a 10-second fight. But I just don't want Bisping to take that risk. Like, I want to hear Bisping commentate. I want to see him further his career in all these avenues that he has, with his podcast with Luis J. Gomez, from Legion of Skanks, you know. I don't want to see the potential for him going blind. That would really just... It would suck. It would suck for him. It would suck for his family. But, you know, I mean, I get it, too. Like, he's like, fuck it. I'll take the risk. I'll get $10 million.
Yeah, I mean, when you're getting millions of dollars, especially if you're getting millions of dollars for a fucking exhibition boxing match.
And a kid you're going to wax.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, I get it either way.
Absolutely. Let's move on to some other news. So, Dana White, once again, came out and is pulling his weird, freaky bullshit. And I'm getting pissed, honestly, because it's affecting my girl. Dana White has come out and said that Rose Namajunas does not want the next title shot, and they are thinking about making Carla Esparza versus Zhang Weili for the next title
here's
shot.
the thing. Pat Barry came out and said on Twitter, he was like, this shit is not true. He goes, Rose wants the title. She wants to fight for the title. She wants to fight Weili Zhang. But, I this is a peculiar spot for Dana White and Pat Barry, and I don't really know who to believe here.
Well, he does this shit all the time. Remember with Robert Whitaker just a couple months ago, this went through. He's like, I never once said I didn't want the Israel fight.
But you have to admit, Rose, and I love Rose. I'm serious. She is an elite contender.
Without
Rose
a doubt, my favorite female fighter.
Yeah, she's a great fighter. Not taking anything away from her, but they do kind of get into these weird things where they're kind of weird. I'll be honest, Rose and Pat, and I love them. I really do. But they're kind of weird where they're because Rose has grown up in the hood, in the streets, man. I listen to a lot of their podcasts.
She's super sensitive.
Yeah, she says she's sensitive to things. So maybe she was going through one of those little things where she was I'm sensitive. I don't know if I want the fight right away. And Dana took that as, okay, she doesn't want the fight, right? I think there's a little bit more to this than what we're hearing in this scenario, just because she does have a tendency to kind of pull away and kind of seem distant. So I just wonder if that's what it is with Rose Namajunas. But nonetheless, I would love to see Weili Zhang versus Rose. And if we can't get that, then where is Joanna?
Because that's the only fight. Well, that's my whole point. This is the main talking point for this segment in MMA News. That's the only fucking fights to make, Dana. Yep. What
either
the
Rose
fuck?
or Joanna.
Rose or Joanna.
That's it.
That is it. That's the only fights we want to see as fans. Rose deserves the title shot. Absolutely 100% with that win.
But does Joanna not deserve a rematch either?
And 100% I agree with that.
Because if Brandon Moreno deserves a rematch with Figueiredo, then fucking Joanna deserves a rematch with Weili Zhang.
And there's times I'm saying she wins that fight. There are times I would argue she won that fucking fight. It is the fight of the year.
Oh, it is the closest fight of all time?
You don't know who won.
No.
It doesn't matter how many times you watch this fight. You don't know who truly won that fight. And I would not be shocked if that's the fight they make. It almost should be the one they make, but Rose Namajunas' name is in there, and that is the fresh new name. That is the fight we want to see. That is the fight I want to see. It is such a great matchup.
Yeah.
I can't wait. I can't wait. Either one of those fights they make, it's beautiful in my opinion, but Carla Esparza...
That's that in no disrespect to Carla.
No disrespect to her, but I don't.
But she does not deserve to be next in the line.
No, and she gets pieced up, I think, bad by Zhang. I think it's not a competitive match. It's not something I'm clamoring for. It's not the matchup anyone wants, I think.
I don't think so either. I mean, the fans especially want that rematch with Joanna, or they want this fight against Rose. That's it. Those are the only two matchups to make. Anything less is egregious, in my opinion. Anything less falls short of the mark, man.
Yeah, I mean, you could have thrown in there, I'm talking 6 months ago, you could have, a Tatiana Suarez, but she has completely fallen off the map. She is no longer ranked. She has not fought in, I think, a year and a half.
Yeah, it's been a while.
And she is dominant and extremely competitive in that top three, I believe. So, I mean, it's going to be an interesting 2021. That fight needs to be made, I think. It's been enough time. I don't know how Zhang is doing. I got to check out her Instagram. I'm sure she's training. She's just a fucking savage.
I'm sure she is.
She's been training this whole time, I'm sure.
I hope so.
Yeah, so I mean, there's so many matchups I want to see in the strawweight division. There are so many girls up and coming. I mean, you have the other Chinese fighters that are making their come-ups in this 115-pound. You got Zhang Naoan. That's an amazing matchup in itself, her versus Zhang, or her versus anyone in this top five. I just don't want to see the Esparza fight. I guess that's why I'm so fired up. That's not the matchup to make. And that must be Dana White's thought process. Maybe he's trying to pressure Rose into getting into bargaining. Maybe this negotiation process isn't even going on. We don't have no idea what's going on with Rose's side. She's a little bit of a Stipe Miocic situation.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
where it's just,
you never know.
Absolutely.
You never know. They're very private. They're very quiet. They'll just completely fall off the map, and you're like, hey, are you guys alive? Are you okay? We just it's a wellness check at this point, but yeah, nonetheless.
Yeah, nonetheless, let's move on to this other news. It's news that came out the second we dropped our episode, and we talked about how this was never going to happen and how crazy Bellator was, but they came to their senses and they did sign Yoel Romero.
Yeah, which we had talked about on our last episode. I said maybe Scott Coker's just yanking our chain a little bit here because it makes 110% It just makes sense to sign Yoel Romero. I get it. He's older. But this is a man who still has plenty left in the gas tank. He's still got a good 2 or 3 fights. He is in shape. He is ready to go. It's not an Anderson Silva situation here. It's not where you're 46, where you're losing a step. And again, Anderson Hall of Famer. You guys know that. Like, I'm a huge Anderson Silva fan. But, time is time. But Yoel is a different Cuban beast, man. And, like, he has... gas left in the tank. And I think fighting a guy like Anthony Rumble Johnson immediately is the perfect matchup we need to see. That's the fight we need to see. You sign Yoel to a 2-fight agreement because Anthony Rumble Johnson is still only, 35, 36? He's still relatively young. But you match him up against Yoel Romero. And then if Anthony Rumble Johnson goes out and beats a guy like Yoel Romero, one of the top contenders in the middleweight division in the UFC, you got to throw him to the champ. Absolutely. I don't know how you don't, especially with the resume of Anthony Rumble Johnson in the UFC, fighting for gold multiple times. So,
do you think they make that matchup and then just cut the loser right away?
I do. I think they sign Yoel to a 2-fight deal. If Yoel loses that fight, they cut him. But if Anthony Rumble Johnson loses that fight, they still let him. Because I'm telling you,
Anthony's got multiple fights.
But he's also taken a lot of time off. I mean, think about it. When was the last fight? 2017?
Very, very long. Something like that.
Yeah, 17, I think. 17 or 16. It's been a while for Anthony Rumble Johnson. So, but nonetheless, I am so excited to see him back in the octagon. And Yoel Romero, I think, is the best matchup.
Is that the only matchup they make?
Either that or Bader. Because Bader coming off
I would almost
loss.
rather that matchup be for a title.
I know, right?
Right? Like, give them both one guy, and then they both, one of them, say you just give Rumble a fucking one fight, then he gets a title shot right off the bat, and you give Yoel one fight, and then he gets his title shot right off the bat. That's the better matchup, in my opinion. I think you do a world title for that fight. I think that gets more people's eyeballs interested. Yeah. Okay. Last little bit.
Yep.
TJ Dillashaw is going to make his comeback very soon. I believe end of January he becomes eligible, so I don't know if they can make a fight until maybe he's eligible. I think
they probably can't even announce it until January. That would be my guess.
So maybe February, March. Mm-hmm. Maybe April at the latest. I think he's going to fight soon, and he's clamoring. He's done many interviews over these last few weeks. It's just I haven't been interested in it. Should have been in MMA news several weeks ago, but it's a guy like I feel like he's poison. Does that make sense?
Yeah, in a sense. Yeah, Andy throws a wrench into this bantamweight division. I mean, love him or hate him, that's exactly what he's doing here. I mean, because you look at the top 5 right now. Aljamain Sterling's getting that shot against Pereira, right? Corey Sandhagen is matched up. Who is he fighting?
He is?
I thought he was.
No, I think that was the matchup they were trying to make was him and TJ.
Oh, maybe that's what I heard.
Because, TJ is saying he is the only legitimate champ left. He says he doesn't recognize Jan's belt. He says he doesn't consider him champ. He says beating a Jose Aldo who lost to Marlon Moraes doesn't make you champion in this 135-pound division.
Hey, man, I mean, he's got a case.
He's got a point.
Case.
So maybe the winner of his first fight is going to be considered, the lineal champ.
Right. Now I would say that, though. If Aljamain Sterling goes out there and loses and Pereira beats Aljamain Sterling, who is the true
I will recognize that belt.
number one contender, the true number one contender. If he went out and beat him, then yes, I would recognize it as well. Or if Aljamain Sterling went out there and bet Pereira, I would think Aljamain Sterling is the true legit. I mean, because we talk so many good things about Aljamain Sterling. I think he is the people's champ here in the bantamweight division. I think he goes out there. I think he wins pretty decisively against Pereira. I think Aljamain Sterling right now is on a different level. Ever since that Marlon Moraes KO, he has completely reevaluated his striking. His jiu-jitsu is just on another level. I mean, Corey Sandhagen is number 2 in the world, folks, in this bantamweight division. And he went out there in the first round and made him look like a baby. He submitted him in the first round. And I get it. Sometimes fighters have bad fights. But Aljamain Sterling is clear-cut number 1 contender here.
If he's taking anyone's back, he's choking him out.
Absolutely.
Like right now.
And
if he took Cheeto's back like Jose did, that's a different fight.
Yep. And I think if Aljamain Sterling wins the belt, and if Corey Sandhagen, I got to be honest with you, I like that matchup. Yeah, TJ Dillashaw coming off that EPO 2-year suspension because he's a cheater. I will repeat it every single time, and eventually I'll let it go. But up until he fights, I'm just going to keep bringing it up because it did piss me off because I was a big fan of TJ.
Gross.
It was gross because like EPOs is something different. Okay, you have to inject that. You guys know that, right? That's what EPOs are. Like you know you are cheating when you are injecting EPOs. It's not like taking a tainted supplement. Like let's not get it twisted here. He took this knowing damn well that he was cheating and didn't give a fuck. This is what people like Lance Armstrong took, to pedal around, during
to get that extra endurance. It wasn't a steroid. Like he wasn't building muscle. He was trying to increase his gas tank, which is completely performance enhancing. It's gross.
You know what? He should have just pulled out of that bantamweight, flyweight
should have never done the 125 pounds.
No, he shouldn't have.
It's a stupid decision.
And when he knew he couldn't make that weight or he was depleted or he had to take EPOs, he should have been a man and pulled out of that fight. Now, it's a mistake, and eventually, just like anyone else, credit
to him, as a man, he did come out and just straight up admit, I fucked up. And I did this.
And that's where I'm saying eventually, like, I will forgive him and I will forget about it. But until he comes back and he fights, I don't know. I just have I got this thing on my shoulder where it's like, I want to see him in the octagon again. I want to make sure USADA's testing him. I want to make sure he's clean as an athlete now. And you know what? After his first fight, I'll probably just forgive him and it's water under the bridge, But for right now, I'm still a little pissed off at him because you know what? I was saying a lot of good things about TJ Dillashaw. And like, he really did disappoint me as a fan. Like, honestly, he disappointed me because you never want to see that, bro. Yeah. You never want to see these guys taking steroids. You never want to see them taking EPOs. It's not a good look for the sport. And like, it's different, okay? When a guy like Barry Bonds goes out there, and if you guys don't know Barry Bonds, baseball, right? Or Sammy Sosa, and they take steroids to hit a ball over a fence. It's one thing, right? Like steroids should almost
someone in the face and inflicting damage.
Steroids should almost be fucking legal in baseball, okay? Because it makes the game more entertaining. But when you're talking about being able to potentially end someone's life with a strike and you are taking sports enhancing drugs, you should be reprimanded for that. You should be, you should be held in higher regard. So, for me with TJ, but nonetheless, let's get back to this. Let's get back to the Corey Sandhagen thing. I love that matchup for TJ.
I think that's the only matchup to make.
And I do believe TJ Dillashaw could very well win the bantamweight belt again. I really do. Yeah, and I would love to see him go out there. And if he were to beat Corey Sandhagen, I'd love to see him fight Aljamain Sterling. Because I'm already calling it right now. Aljamain Sterling's beating Petr Yan. I think Petr Yan's a little overhyped. I think Jose Aldo, say what you will, but he didn't look bad in those. Well, he didn't look bad in even
2 of them.
I thought he won 2 rounds in that fight, honestly. Or it was pretty close. I don't know. I got to go back and rewatch it. But I would love to see that fight. Aljamain Sterling versus TJ Dillashaw in a year. This coming year, towards the end of 2021, that'd be awesome, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's whether or not he just gets the title shot right off the bat. I mean, because that's what he's asking for. That's what he thinks he deserves because he does consider himself the last legitimate champion. And he makes points, but at the same time, you're always and forever going to have that asterisk of EPOs next to your name. Yep. And it's always and forever going to have those asterisks on those past fights, even though, you know what, they went back and tested your old Pete samples, and yes, you're fine. Mm-hmm. But I think it just doesn't matter.
Yeah, and
once you have one asterisk, you can asterisk everything, I feel like.
Yeah, you can. And I am glad that they went back and tested some of his old P because I would have said, fuck this guy, never let him back ever again. Yeah. Now, do I think what he did was wrong? Absolutely. And I'm not justifying it towards any, but I'm just glad it was one.
It was just one and done.
I know, it's so tricky.
One and done.
But given the circumstances of him dropping down to flyweight, it still wasn't right. He still should be reprimanded for it. But he has served his time, right? The same way where you commit a crime, you go to prison, you serve your time, you are then freed. I think TJ Dillashaw has served his 2-year sentence, which is a pretty heavy sentence, which justifiable, absolutely. But now I think we kind of accept him back. And not only that, but I'm tuning in. TJ Dillashaw is a top contender in this bantamweight division, man.
Yeah, we're going to watch.
He is, absolutely.
We're going to watch. It's just whether or not he gets that fight. I guess only time will tell. He isn't deserving, in my opinion, because of all the asterisks. So I think.
So who would you match him up
It's Corey Sandhagen, like you were saying.
Oh, okay.
It's Corey Sandhagen. You give him that top contender. If he gets the win, then you give him the title shot.
Yeah.
I'm totally cool with a one and done.
Okay.
One fight gets a title shot. We will see. It's an entire wrench thrown in this division.
It is.
And it's just another fucking guy in one of the most stacked divisions. I really can't wait. There's so much happening in 2021.
Tabor, have I said this? I love the UFC. Yeah. I love this fucking sport. And it only gets better and better, man. This sport only improves. And I just, again, I'm a Dana White dick rider, but I'll say it, man. this organization, this sport could not be even remotely where it is without Dana White at the helm, man.
Yeah.
Hats off to him, and way to just say a big fuck you to everyone and just continue on with these fights. And here's the thing. He's not saying a fuck you and not taking proper precautions.
He's doing everything the right way.
Every precaution possible. That's why when I see media freaking out about Dana White and being like, how dare you? How dare you do this? You idiots, you dummies don't even know how many tests are out, how he's quarantining these fighters, how he is doing everything right. Dana White is a gangster, man. And I just keep going back to it. I love Dana, and I'm just so glad because, like, dude, can you imagine, Tabor?
Is this your shout out?
It is my shout out.
Might as well be, dude. You're fucking sucking his dick.
Yeah. This is my shout out of the week is Dana White. Thank you so much for a bearable 2020 because I'm telling you, without Dana White in
it's
UFC,
a well-deserved one, really.
I might have just said fuck it and jumped off a bridge, man. I'm serious. I'm joking. It's supposed to be a joke, everyone. But I'm serious. Like, if we wouldn't have gotten fights from March to now, it would have been real rough, depressing.
Dude.
I mean, for this podcast, for me, just every Saturday being quarantined, or not quarantined, but being on lockdown, not being able to go out and enjoy a comedy show or anything, I'm able to sit home every Saturday night and be able to watch a fight. And these aren't just, run-of-the-mill fights. These are some of the greatest fights I've seen within this year. We're seeing top contenders fighting, people we had no idea of before this year even started. Dana White was able to get all of this done despite the media, despite everyone hating on him. He said he just gave a big middle finger and he was able to get it done. I just, my shout outs to Dana White. Thank you so much for being able to do this. It means so much to the fans, man. It means so much to the fans. Thank you, Dana White. That's my shout out this week.
100%, dude. I echo everything you just said. You need to shout his name from the fucking rooftops. 100%. So my shout out this week, boys, is to a YouTube commenter. It's always to a YouTube commenter every week. So go and leave a comment on any videos, whether you leave it on this episode, a full episode from the past, or just a clip. Whether it's a clip that we dropped this week or last week, who gives a shit? If it's a comment and it shows up in front of my face, it makes me laugh, makes me cringe, makes me angry, I'm gonna shout you out. So make sure you go and leave one. This week's YouTube commenter is James Carbon, and he said, super lightweight is very needed in the UFC. 165 is a good bridge between 155 and 170. 100% agree.
Well, I'd say 90% agree. What I would do is bump every division up 5 pounds.
Yeah, well, you need to do 75.
Yeah,
you wouldn't keep
85.
170. You do 175, and that makes so much more sense. Every 10 pounds. I could argue in a 195. That's the lightweight.
Yeah,
that's
I'm
the
good
division.
with that.
Well, that's the division Israel's been calling for. He said that's the division he wants. He said he would love to bounce between 195, 185. Yeah. I think, why not? If we're doing every 10 pounds, why not?
But I don't think it's stacked at 195. I
don't think it matters because you could do so many double champ situations. I mean, what makes money? I think that's more title
but again,
fights.
you're talking top 15, right? So what do you got? Top 15 fighters in both divisions?
I think there's a lot. I mean, it depends if you eliminate weight cutting. If you completely eliminate weight cutting, which I think is what should come with 165, you eliminate weight cutting. There's a lot of 205ers that are not cutting that much weight that would probably stay at a 205 or maybe even cut a little bit more to a 195. There's so many tweeners. And there's so many 205 pounders that are fucking killing themselves and would never make 195 and would probably benefit from a 225 or something like that. So it just depends. Yeah. It really depends. I mean, there's a big difference in that 20 pounds, dude. There's a big difference in that 20 pounds. That's all I got to say.
Alrighty.
Well, Mason, Teespring, church merch. Go get a mask. Go get a t-shirt. Go get anything. But before you do that, go to our Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, at The Church of MMA. Guys, we are posting funny memes. We're trying to make you laugh. Clips of the show. Hit us up.
Check out our YouTube channel, too, guys. You can see our pretty little faces on that channel. We're almost at 400 subscribers, so be sure to go there. Subscribe to the channel. Hit that smash like button. This is The Church of MMA. My name is Mason Knight. That is Tabor Cragen. And until next time.
Peace.